Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. It's the signature day of the Oaklawn Racing Meet. It's Arkansas Derby Saturday. Race number 12 is the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, an important Kentucky Derby prep. We're going a mile and an eighth. $1.25 million is the purse. Before we get to the entry card, remember to access those Timeform US PPs. They're free in DRFPPs. When you go to DRF.com for your usual PPs, there's the Timeform US tab. Click on it, and you get to take a peek at the Timeform US pace projector, pace ratings, speed ratings, and all the goodies associated with Timeform US. Here's the field for the Arkansas Derby. While the Florida Derby has Champion Forte, the Arkansas Derby looks like a better betting race.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you'll see some of the shorter prices there, Dan, sort of clustered to the middle of the field. And all three of those horses, 6, 7, 8, they're all pretty talented with credentials. But it's not like they're, total standouts in here. I feel like if you really wanted to get beyond the favorites in this race, it's not that hard to do it.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for the Arkansas Derby. We know that the number 10 Red Route 1 is going to be coming from the back of the pack. That's his style. Harlow Cap is going to the lead. And really the key to this race, if you're handicapping pace, is if you believe the red bar is correct and that a fast pace is there. Because a fast pace will work against Harlow Cap much as it did last time out in the Risen Star.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this pace shakes out. I suppose it could get fast early in this race, and I do think Harlow Cap's going to go as he did last time. And listen, I thought all in all he ran pretty well in the Risen Star last time. He got a little tired through the stretch. The pace was very solid. I didn't think it was blazing, but it was certainly a solid one. Maybe he'll get a little bit of a better trip this time.
Personally, I think he will. I think he's going to get to the lead over Two Eagles River. I think he's just faster than that horse. I do expect Reincarnate to be close to the pace. I'm not sure if they'll be blazing early, and that could help Harlow Cap. The number 1 is Bourbon Bash, going out for the great Hall of Famer D. Wayne Lucas. This horse was 5th in the Rebel last time out. He did not have a good trip.
Yeah, I didn't think he did either. It was a sloppy track as well. But he just was rated right from the start of that race from an outside post. They didn't try to go forward with him. He got caught wide, made a little bit of a run there and got a little tired through this. I didn't think it was a terrible performance. I thought he ran fine 2 starts back also when they stretched him back out in distance for the first time since the Breeders' Futurity. He's an interesting horse to talk about, not only maybe getting a better trip, Dan, but maybe showing some speed from the rail this time. He moves inside after having the far outside post in each of his last 2 starts. He will be going early in this race, and he's not impossible.
I was just going to bring up the fact that he should show a lot more positional speed breaking from the inside post. And there's a chance he's setting in the second flight or so in a great position while saving all of the ground. Now, he has to prove himself against graded stakes competition. He tried it twice last year as a 2-year-old. Maybe it was just a little bit too much too soon coming off of an impressive maiden win at Saratoga. He does seem to be improving with each start. The 2 is Interlock Empire, and this horse is stepping up off a maiden win, but a good-looking one at that, going a mile at Oaklawn Park on March the 11th. Interlock Empire came from way off the pace in this race. He made a big, wide, sweeping move after not breaking very well, and then it's off to the races for him. I like that he was able to sustain a prolonged move from the back of the pack. Now he's got to step up in class.
I liked all those things too. I mean, yeah, they're going to step him right into the Arkansas Derby off of a maiden win, but man, it felt like a real step in the right direction last time. A big move around the turn. He had already joined the leaders by the time that field got to the quarter pole, Dan. So it's not like the race fell into his lap somehow. He made the run to get there. He was pretty impressive last time.
The ex-Bob Baffert trainee is the number 3 Harlow Cap. He's now with Steve Asmussen. He won a maiden race going 2 turns at Santa Anita. I thought he was a little green in that performance, but in the Risen Star, he really didn't get much of a breather. He was on a hard chase on a solid pace, and while he tired, it's not like he collapsed to the back of the pack. I think he gained a lot of experience from that run, and I expect Ricardo Santana Jr. to send him. If he gets away with a breather, he could be strong turning for home.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, we'll see what kind of price he is. That was the one thing that I wanted to wait for. Dan, I liked his 3 starts in Southern California for Baffert. I thought he ran fine in the Risen Star last time. I get that there's sort of that narrative out there that the pace was super fast and it worked against him. I personally didn't really look at the race that way. It was a solid pace for sure. I thought this horse got a decent trip, just sort of sitting up there tracking a long shot, made a run around the turn, and he was just really no match for Angel of Empire, for Sun Thunder, for Two Phils, who's a nice horse. I just feel like more than the pace doing him in, I just feel like the competition kind of did him in last time, but I still think he has some talent.
And I'll have to face Angel of Empire once again on Saturday. The number 4 is Two Eagles River, coming off a gate-to-wire performance and a 2-life allowance, going the mile with the short stretch. And I thought he got a beautiful ride from Nick Juarez in that race. Let's watch Two Eagles River, who got to the front in that spot and just backed down the pace while shaking loose through an easy second quarter. He spurts away at just the right time. He wins as much the best. The pace has got to be faster in this race as he faces tougher competition.
Yeah, that's how I kind of look at him too, Dan. I mean, he does look good winning this race, but he just had all the best of it in there. The runner up there, Disarm, I think he's a really nice horse, but he was up against it in that race. And this horse, to his credit, got the soft trip and then did what he was supposed to do with it. And it's not like his prior 4 starts, were poor performances. He ran well in all those races also.
Airtime is up next. Disarm, by the way, the horse that he just beat, came back to run second in the Louisiana Derby. Airtime's really found himself in his last 2 races, a blowout winner over a muddy track 2 starts back, albeit while offered for a $50,000 tag. But he backed that up first off the Robertino Diodoro claim with this victory in a first-level allowance going a mile and a 16th. Now, the pace was hot in this race, and you could argue that maybe Airtime took advantage, and he was able to finally get through along the inside.
Yeah, he does work his way through there. He got a great trip overall in this race, but it was a little tight there. He squeezed on through. The runner-up's coming down the outside with momentum, but Airtime's just going to outkick this horse to the wire. This is a good performance. His figure regresses, actually, from the win prior to that where he was claimed, but he ran well again, Dan, and you're right, that pace was fast. He was pretty close to it.
Here's Angel of Empire, the number 6, a horse that's like a little bit under the radar on many top 10 lists for the Kentucky Derby. He was second in the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn, basically wired that day by victory formation, and then he came back to pull off a 13-1 upset in the Risen Star. He still might be a pretty good price in this race, Mike. He's done nothing wrong. He's trained by that guy, Brad Cox, and perhaps most importantly, he has a win at the distance.
Yeah, all those things are true. And, I feel like, as you mentioned before, he's sort of flying under the radar still, even though he just won the Risen Star. I think that's just because he doesn't have any figures on his side, Dan, so he's not going to draw that much attention. 89 Beyer top last time. The trip really worked out for him there. I thought, he was in a good position throughout the running. He got clear in the stretch, but he also had the best finish to get the job done. Another step in the right direction. He just really hasn't run a bad dirt race yet.
And the third-place finisher from the Risen Star, Two Phils, came back to stamp himself as a Kentucky Derby contender with a 101 Beyer win in last week's Jeff Ruby Stakes over Polytrack. Rocket Can is up next, the winner of the Grade 3 Holy Bull. 2 starts back at Gulfstream. He then faced a daunting task in this race, the Fountain of Youth against returning champion Forte. He was up close to the pace early, and he's going to grind out a runner-up finish. He's a very likable professional horse, and it was nice to actually see him run a somewhat fast race last time out. I do like his tactical speed. He won't be completely outrun.
That's what I like about him too. He likes to, sort of keep in range of the pace, but he's not. I don't think he's going to be compromised if they go a lot faster early in this race. I think he'll be comfortable sitting off of it, and he just sort of keeps gradually improving. I mean, at some point you want to see him sort of take a leap forward here and show himself to be one of the better 3-year-olds, but so far, he's shown up and run well every time. The distance is no problem. He should get a good trip in this race. He's a contender.
Another ex-Baffert trainee is the number 8 Reincarnate. This one with Tim Yachtini. He won the Grade 3 Sham 2 starts back. It was a short field. He battled on the lead. He took some money in the Grade 2 Rebel last time out over a sloppy track. Tell me about that trip. It wasn't, I think, what the connections were expecting.
Yeah, I don't think it was what many people were expecting, Danny. He showed a pretty good amount of speed out in California for Baffert, and then he shows up here on a wet track, and he's totally outrun early in the race. Maybe the wet track had something to do with that. I think that's worth keeping in mind. He also got in a little bit tight in the stretch of that race, then, as he was trying to rally. I thought he did pretty well running from off the pace for the first time. My problem with him, Dan, is I don't really know how good I think he is. I wasn't, blown away by his maiden win going the mile at Del Mar. when he won the Sham 2 starts back, I still have no idea what to make of that race. He didn't look like, to me, the fastest of the 3 Baffert horses in there, but he made the lead. His 2 stablemates took back off of it, and he wired him.
And Newgate, the runner-up that day, it was his turn next time. He came back to win before, unfortunately, being sidelined and knocked off the Derby trail. I like Reincarnate a little bit more than you do because simply he's run some fast races. King Russell is up next, and he's going to step up out of the maiden ranks off this victory over Sloppy Going last time out. He's a son of Creative Cause. He won't have the benefit of Lasix this time around, but we see him. He has work to do, and I like the moxie he shows. There's some guts, Mike, for him to win this race, finding a seam finally.
Yeah, it's a game win for him. He had some work to do there. You see the horse on the lead isn't really finishing at all. That horse is very tired. But I'll give King Russell the credit he deserves here. He's determined. He gets the job done. He's got to take a huge step forward here.
Red Route 1, the number 10, is a one-run closer. You could argue he's dependent on race and pace luck, but he might get the pace he needs here. A late-running second in the Southwest. He was second again in the Rebel last time out. Now, the pace was there for him in that day. Split horses with a 4-wide bid turning for home. Had to sort of alter course, angling inside the winner. He kicks hard in the stretch. Interesting to see how blinkers move him up or don't move him up. For the great Steve Asmussen, I trust Steve.
Yeah, you don't want to get too far away in these races, but here is the Rebel, Dan. I mean, he does make a big run in this race down the outside. He's clear. Right to his inside is Reincarnate. You're going to see that horse wind up getting it really tight there, and it certainly affects his chances. Red Route 1, he just runs on to the end here. He winds up second best. I hate his running style, but it's at least worth pointing out that he keeps showing up and running good races.
And the horse to the far outside, the number 11, Colomio. This horse has only raced twice on dirt and hasn't done much. His best surface right now seems to be turf, but he was claimed by a very capable horseman in Keith Desormeaux out of his last race, a race in which he just missed on the lawn, and now they throw him to the wolves.
Yeah, taking a real shot here, running him in the Arkansas Derby off the claim without a race on his page right now that gives him any kind of a chance.
Time for our top picks for the Arkansas Derby. The first 2 finishers of this race, they'll certainly accrue enough points to get into the gate on the first Saturday in May at Churchill Downs. I like Mike's pick in here. He's going for a price. Bourbon Bash, hurt by post position perhaps in his last 2 races, draws much better here. Better than it looks performance last time out in the Rebel, will be a nice price.
Yeah, I did. That's why I took him more than anything else, is because of the price. And there are good horses in here, but I don't think there are any, superstars. Anybody you have to be terrified of running against at a price in this race, Dan. I like him moving inside, and I just like the direction he's headed in. I think he's getting a much more aggressive ride here from the rail.
Of the shorter priced options, I prefer the 7 Rocket Can for Bill Mott. He chased Forte last time out, so you could argue he's getting a smidge of class relief here in the Arkansas Derby, and I do like his running style compared to my second choice, the number 10 Red Route 1. He'll get the jump on that horse turning for home. 1-3-7-8 for Mike, 7-10-8-6 for me. It's the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby on Saturday. Best of luck.